Eagles Island is truly special. Its unique placement and dynamic systems create conditions that make it an area of critical conservation importance. To that end, we propose Eagles Island Nature Park, an engaging living laboratory that welcomes visitors in to explore and to form relationships with this land and with each other. With programmatic elements that emphasize adaptation, education, and exploration, we've designed a well-connected public park that's also an active research site. Within a larger master plan that includes a visitor center, ferry launch connections to Wilmington, and riverfront trails that would be phased over time, we have chosen to design 4 main projects: dredged material as a resource for habitat development, engaging boardwalks, a discovery zone with pavilions, and a roadway redesign with a pedestrian bridge. We see project phasing as an important aspect of our plans to increase their viability and adaptability to the changing social, ecological, and economic climate. These phases also allow space and time for landowners and stakeholders to envision an alternative future for the island. We are focusing the bulk of our programming and design on the northwestern portion of the site. Throughout this presentation, we will refer to this area as the Discovery Zone. We are prioritizing our design efforts in this area so that we can provide more programming options on the less activated portion of the island, an area with rich ecological and cultural heritage and close proximity to the towns of Belleville, Leland, and Navassa. Building off of Phase 1 in the Discovery Zone, Phase 2 of our master plan expands across the northern part of the island and includes more cultural and educational boardwalks, paddle trails, additional kayak launch points, and more observation decks and pavilions. Phase 3 ties programming and design from Phase 1 and 2 together, connecting these areas to the Wilmington waterfront. We are looking at the potential for treatment and placement of the dredged materials currently located in the southern portion of the island as an opportunity for habitat and landform creation in the northern part of the island. This is an integral part of all of our projects and is incorporated throughout all phases of the master plan project. For the rest of this presentation, we will focus on research, design, and programming for Phase 1 of our master plan, the Discovery Zone.
My research focuses on a variety of methods to safely and cost-effectively foster ecologically rich habitats on Eagles Island that can adapt to climate change. It's essential to understand where we are now so that we can better visualize possibilities for the island. Currently, Eagles Island is a roughly 3,000-acre island, with the majority of its elevation ranging between 1 and 3 feet above sea level. This low elevation makes it a rare freshwater tidal marsh that's home to plants and animals that rely on the environment's distinctive characteristics. Looking to the future, with sea level rise, water will creep up to the marshy areas. Rising water will have higher salinity levels since it's coming in from the ocean. It's also important to realize that we've been making dramatic changes to the environment in and around Eagles Island for many, many years. Over the years, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has been dredging the Cape Fear River Basin to accommodate larger and larger ships that travel to the Port of Wilmington. When we scrape up sediment on the bottom of the river, it has to go somewhere. The Corps of Engineers has been placing dredged material in a variety of locations in the Cape Fear River Basin, in the Atlantic Ocean, and since the late 1970s on Eagles Island. When the Corps of Engineers embarks on a dredging project, they analyze the sediment, classify it, and place it based on that classification. Category A sediment can be used for beach nourishment projects. Category C is used for habitat restoration and parks and rec projects. Category D goes to offshore or upland disposal areas. Eagles Island typically receives Category C and D dredged materials. There are 3 holding cells on Eagles Island. Each year, and on a rotating basis, one of these cells receives dredged material while the other 2 go through a dewatering cycle. As dredged material is dewatered, that sediment is then used to construct taller and taller dikes so that the cells can hold even more dredge. The Corps of Engineers expects this area to be totally full by 2032, at which point all the dredged material that usually goes to Eagles Island will be shipped out to an offshore disposal site. Sediment is placed in confined disposal facilities like Eagles Island because it has high levels of acidity that, without remediation, can be harmful to the environment. Dredged material remediation techniques are best considered with an end goal in mind. In other words, if you know what you want to do with the sediment, you can make the best and most cost-effective plan for remediation. So, here's how we see it. The northern part of the island is experiencing land loss because of sea level rise and other factors. The southern part of the island has an abundant resource of sediment. and in 2032 is going to close, which will require inputs to simply manage the dredged material so that it doesn't become an environmental hazard. As decision makers consider how to move forward with Eagles Island, it's critical that the community knows what's happening on the southern part of the island so that these plans can be considered and potentially integrated. Our group sees opportunities for this community to use its own sediment to its benefit. The goal is to use techniques to use what we've got to preserve and create as much land and therefore habitat as possible on Eagles Island. Our group has explored 6 methods that utilize dredge as a resource for adaptive habitat development. Dynamic breakwaters are emergent structures designed to incorporate habitat like mudflats and nesting areas for birds. Placed strategically in avian flyways, marsh mounds can serve as nesting areas and buffer wind and wave energy. We see the greatest opportunity in northern parts of the island that will be lost to sea level rise. Thin layer placement involves placing dredged material to a specific layer thickness for marsh restoration, typically through multiple applications. This would be appropriate in any marsh area, like the area around the pond off Alligator Creek. In the Corps of Engineers land, we propose creating micro landforms that test Eagles Island-specific seed germination to better design novel and high-performing ecosystems using dredged material. A pedestrian bridge would connect areas of habitat separated by human-made infrastructures. This bridge, which Claire will provide more details on, will serve to connect people over US 74, which currently splits the island in 2. In our focus area, the Discovery Zone, we're looking at implementing ecotone ridges, which use sediment to form a wide expanse of marsh in differentiated habitats, including upland habitat. By adding in topography up to 10 to 12 feet, we can support a much larger range of habitats than if it was left untouched. An advantage of this intervention is that this land that would be lost to sea level rise becomes a usable place for learning and recreation. We've laid out a framework for next steps, outlining the 3 major entities that would be involved: the community, the Corps of Engineers, and the federal government. What's important to take away here is that for something to happen, it's the community's responsibility to approach their state representative, an action that kicks off the project. There is a process for this type of work to be funded, with opportunities for community input. By engaging with dredged material, and with those making the decisions about how it's remediated and placed, we can continue to build Eagles Island in a way that creates positive benefits for humans and for the environment.
With that, we'll take a closer look at design elements of our focus area, the Discovery Zone, which would be phase 1 of the overall nature park project. The Discovery Zone is located on the northwest portion of the site, directly across from Leland and Belleville, in hopes that they will be active community partners. One can reach the Discovery Zone multiple ways: the trailhead off the Greenway, the ferry and boat dock, or by kayak, leaving it at the docking location as you meander through the boardwalks. Scattered on the site are various habitat-focused pavilions, taking a visitor on an interactive educational tour. This is a destination for families, class trips, researchers, and wildlife enthusiasts. Eagles Island has various unique and endangered species, so we found it only fit to create the Discovery Zone with a strong focus on wildlife interaction and education in mind. The ecosystems and habitat on the island are so precious, which is why the pavilions are designed for up-close learning opportunities, while also supporting habitats for years to come. Our plan accommodates 4 habitat vantage points corresponding to elevation: marine, terrestrial, understory, and canopy. This allows for visitors to see many plant and animal species up close, forming a more personal relationship between visitors and their surrounding environment. Also across the site is a series of signage representing each pavilion and trail loops for easy wayfinding.
The Exploration Station is the main hub for information, history, and education in the Discovery Zone. Located on one of the larger ecotone ridges, it provides views of the whole area. The form was shaped by the important view sheds on the site: the pedestrian bridge, Belleville, and the bird tower, which creates angle spaces to nest the program within. Along the main walkway through the pavilion is a large exhibition wall. There's also a dedicated classroom area, bathroom, and storage. As you're walking on the Discovery Trail, the path leads you into the Exploration Station, where you're greeted by a long overhead roof to create a porch-like space that references Southern vernacular architecture. Once inside, the exhibition wall opens up to display a timeline of Eagles Island's important history, both culturally and environmentally, ranging from the Gullah Geechee artifacts to shipbuilding history to sea level rise, and to the information on the use of remediated sediment on the island. The exhibit gives visitors a more complete understanding of the evolution of the island through time. The bathroom and storage are also discreetly nestled into the wall. The classroom space branches off of the exhibit hall and is oriented towards the bird tower to display some of the birds' patterns from a distance. Here lies space for presentations, labs, or just a shaded sitting area. The pavilion consists of timber and steel construction. Wrapping the structure is an operable screen system which allows users an adaptable experience inside, controlling the light and climate as needed. These screens are made of sweetgrass to resemble the weavings of the Gullah Geechee people. Moving on to the more habitat-focused structures, we look at designing at 4 levels of viewing: marine, terrestrial, understory, and canopy. Eagles Island has a diverse amount of marine life, much hidden to the human eye. The Marine Pavilion's purpose is to reveal and engage visitors with some of these species. This exhibit consists of 3 variously shaped buoys connected by a thin floating pathway. Like tidal pools, these buoys hold a thin placement of water which invites a large diversity of marine life. Each buoy is designed to optimize a variety of marine species through surfacing. The top of the buoy utilizes different surface types such as smooth substrate, water channels, and tidal pools. Each of these spaces allow for a different habitat which caters towards its own diversity of species. On the bottom of the buoy lies a series of stalactite-like structures. These curves range in their size, allowing for different types of benthic organisms such as algae, barnacles, vertebrates, and so on. Using curved surfaces attracts a wider range of marine species due to its mimicry of natural forms like rocks. The buoys are angled to invite water through the channels on the top, which flow into the many tidal pools. Thus, there is always new water that brings in new species in and out of the buoy surface. Visitors are invited across to discover all that the buoys have collected. These 3 vessels would be assembled in pieces made of FRP with a coating of crushed oyster concrete. The introduction of oyster shells provides a couple benefits. First, from similar precedents, the addition of this natural element has increased the amount of marine growth on the surface. And second, this begins to source local materials supporting and representing the area.
Eagles Island is an important nesting site in southern North Carolina for the black-necked stilt, which makes the island even more unique. Nestled into the landscape, similar to the stilt, the pavilion creates a one-of-a-kind viewing opportunity of the bird's habitat. The stilt pavilion has been located near areas of the marsh where tidal streams are created. To reach the pavilion, one walks along the slowly ramping walkway, taking the visitor away from the busy boardwalk into the quiet, vast landscape, immersing one into the stilt's habitat. As you approach the pavilion, you first enter a porch-like space with interpretive signage to learn more about the bird. Inside, the space is only big enough for a handful of people to keep the experience intimate. The interior is lit by small openings of the slats and a skylight in order to hide you from the stilt's view, so they are not startled. Slats are used as the facade treatment to create texture within the space while also keeping most of the elements out, however, still allowing for daylighting and natural ventilation to occur. The stilt is a tall and lanky shorebird with a delicate-looking body, which became the inspiration for the form. Short and nestled into the landscape with the structure reaching into the ground, using only local materials to root it in its context, the pavilion feels like it's always been there. The form creates a ledge inside for visitors to lean on and open the viewing port so they can look down at the marsh where the stilts nest and feed. This pavilion truly creates a one-of-a-kind educational opportunity to view the black-necked stilt and its habitat up close. Situated in the understory, the butterfly canopy brings awareness to the conservation needs of the rare skipper butterfly, which is only found on Eagles Island in all of North Carolina. Inspired by the beauty and flexibility of butterfly wings, 3 forms come together overhead, creating a canopy. The boardwalk widens under this canopy to create spaces for rest in the shade away from the hot coastal sun, a space to host a group of children on an educational field trip, or simply a space to view and interact with butterflies. The canopy is designed with a perforated panel system inspired by the eggs of the rare skipper. These panels allow light to filter into the structure from all angles while creating a suitable habitat for butterflies to nest and sunbathe in the various pockets. This also creates playful shadow art for visitors along the discovery loop. One of these panels extends down, almost touching the ground, to allow visitors an opportunity to interact with the rare skipper up close. The butterfly canopy, like the other pavilions in the Discovery Zone, create an invaluable, unique, and educational experience for all visitors to interact with a rare species of butterflies, making this an amazing destination for local schools, wildlife enthusiasts, and families on weekends.
Lastly, the bird towers are designed to attract local and migratory bird species. Unlike most bird towers, this structure is not just looking out to observe birds, but also invites birds in by becoming an attractive habitat. The structure provides a symbiotic relationship for people and birds by providing a close-up learning opportunities for us and a safe home for birds. The plan of the structure is simple. At the center of the structure lies a tall concrete chimney which is surrounded by stairs and viewing areas. Windows and the top-level roof deck provide expansive views to the landscape. At the center of the structure lies a tall concrete chimney for chimney swifts. The chimney swifts, a North Carolina priority bird species, can be found in the Wilmington-Belleville area. The tall chimney provides visitors with the sounds of the swifts' recognizable chirping and a close-up observation of them going in and out of the chimney. From the Exploration Station classroom across the Discovery Zone, visitors can observe the chimney swifts in certain points of the year where the birds come out in hundreds and create a large circle in the sky. In addition to the chimney swifts, this tower offers more close-up interactions with other bird species. In the facade of the tower lies various birdhouses that can be viewed into. Through small portholes, visitors can look straight into the nests of birds and observe their behavior. Within the facade are varying types of birdhouses to create a wider range of diversity among the birds and reduce competition between them. The three types consist of the larger homes for the bigger species, such as the red-winged blackbirds, and smaller homes for petite species such as the painted buntings, and perches for migratory birds or birds passing by. Also on the facade are long wooden boards which together mimic the texture of a tree. Within these grooves is where the birdhouses are placed, similar to how birds nest within hollow trees. The majority of the structure uses a wood frame. The natural materiality and the soft touch of these projects continues to demonstrate that these structures are not just for people but nature as well. We hope that all of the pavilions will not only be an asset in learning more about the ecology of Eagles Island, but also strengthen the island's ecosystems.
Connecting the Discovery Zone pavilions and extending throughout the entire island is a system of marked blueway and greenway trails which welcome visitors of all ages and abilities and engage them through play and exploration. Our focus for Phase 1 is on the 2-mile-long Discovery Loop, which works alongside the Discovery Zone pavilions to create an interactive outdoor exhibition. Together, these help educate the public on the ecology, wildlife habitats, and climate adaptation on Eagles Island through auditory, visual, and physical participation. Why is it important to promote a variety of learning experiences? Numerous studies have shown that both children and adults learn through different methods, 3 of the main ways being auditory, visual, and kinesthetic. By providing opportunities for visitors to explore Eagles Island through multiple senses, they will be able to better understand and appreciate the ecology, habitats, and adaptation strategies through their own methods of learning. But what is so important about exploration through play? According to research, play is a key component in developing children's cognitive, physical, social, and emotional abilities, and conversely, the lack of play can negatively affect a child's development and growth in these areas. The interactive boardwalk incorporates moments where the path expands to become a place for spontaneous play and community interaction. The pathway connects visitors to each other while also fostering a connection to the site and encouraging visitors to learn more about the distinct ecology and wildlife found on Eagles Island through auditory, visual, and kinesthetic means, highlighting opportunities for rest, play, communication, and exploration. One point along this boardwalk is designed for moments of exploration. In this example, the marsh ecosystem. Visitors are encouraged to interact with the marsh at different levels, from viewing the landscape from the boardwalk to stepping down towards the marsh habitat at the core to get a closer look. The perforated metal mesh steps allow for visitors to observe firsthand the tidal fluctuations on Eagles Island
and also serve as a tangible marker for ongoing climate change as they gradually are enveloped by sea level rise. Another segment of the boardwalk provides moments of rest. The wooden walkway folds over to shade the places to sit and rest below, with framed views out over the marsh at alternating levels. Suspended hammocks in an angled plane provide fun and diverse places to relax with family or friends. The boardwalk is elevated above tidal changes and offers an upper and lower route for a variety of experiences along its course. Further along, the Discovery Loop folds up to reveal a space for jumping, climbing, and hiding. Children are invited to engage with one another and their surroundings through the boardwalk's playful form. In other areas, the pathway narrows, focusing visitors' attention on the landscape and on nearby habitats as they continue their walk along the Discovery Loop. The entire boardwalk system across Eagles Island is able to accommodate changes over time as remediated dredge is placed and converted to habitat on the site. Some places become shaded spaces for gathering, sitting together, and conversing with one another. Interaction between visitors, as well as with the surrounding nature park, is an important aspect of the Discovery Zone, forming long-lasting connections which unite the community and draw people back to Eagles Island. In certain locations, the Discovery Loop gently ramps both upward to afford a survey of the larger landscape, as well as downward to provide a closer experience of the marsh ecology. The elevated path would be an ideal location for bird viewing, while the lower portion would allow for closer experience with marsh critters, as well as the opportunity to play on a swing. These dual paths account for tidal fluctuation and ensure that the Discovery Loop is never completely blocked off to visitors passing through.
Finally, imagine a future where you and your best friend, a fellow bike enthusiast, do a loop around the Discovery Zone on your daily commute back from Wilmington. Maybe you even stop to enjoy the sunset. I envision an Eagles Island experience where afternoons like these are possible. We know that in order for Eagles Island Nature Park to be a successful regional and local attraction, it must be accessible. By this we mean that it needs to be easy to get to, regardless of whether you're in a car, on a bus, or riding a bike. And once you're there, it needs to be easy to navigate, whether you're on foot or a set of wheels. The existing transportation infrastructure does not support the level of programming that we have proposed. Highways 17 and 74 slice across the island at 55 miles an hour, and public parking is limited to a large and often slightly flooded lot at the Battleship Park. The existing roads also represent a missing link between the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor Multi-Use Greenway Trail and the East Coast Greenway. For their Pathway to Freedom grassroots project, the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor Greenway Trail team have expressed a desire to connect one greenway to the other. One way to make this happen is across Eagles Island, and this is a huge opportunity. Eagles Island is surrounded by opportunities like this: the existing road infrastructure, the well-trafficked Battleship Park, and the new Memorial Bridge construction, just to name a few. These are loose ends that are worth tying together in a broader transportation plan that opens up access to the park. And to this end, there are two major interventions that I would like to focus on. The first is a pedestrian bridge. By leveraging the dredged materials that Mary Beth discussed, we build up mounds on either side of the highway, connected by a pedestrian bridge for safe crossing. In addition to connecting the two halves of the park, this bridge serves many functions. It guides visitors to the Welcome Center and shelter that are built into the hillside. As it curves down towards the Discovery Zone and Greenway, visitors will find places to park their bikes, shelter, restrooms, signage about the park, and how to get to where they want to go. As a continuation of us prioritizing accessibility, all of these pathways are ADA compliant and include signage in Spanish and in English to reflect the community's composition. In conjunction with its many practical uses, the pedestrian bridge is a gateway to the park that otherwise goes largely unnoticed by the daily traffic. The bridge leaves visitors and passerbys with that, "Hey, welcome, come on in" feeling. Those who are looking for the park know where to find it, and those who are just passing by are reminded that Eagles Island is a place worth coming back to. The pedestrian bridge proposal is coupled with a roadway reroute and retrofit. There are a few main goals of this reroute and retrofit. First, leveraging existing highway infrastructure to reduce building impact on the island. Second, to connect the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Greenway to the East Coast Greenway. And third, to provide multimodal access to the park and across the island. Currently, this is a split-lane highway with 3 lanes of traffic going one direction on each side. The reroute proposes that all commuter traffic get moved to the 3 lanes of traffic on the southern portion of the existing infrastructure. These lanes shift to meet daily commuter patterns when traffic is at its heaviest. The northern half of the existing road is then divided into half, making space for a park access road with traffic slowing down to 25 miles an hour on one side, and up to 20 feet left over on the other side for a plant buffer and robust greenway. This greenway then extends from Belleville across to the existing Memorial Bridge infrastructure, connecting to Wilmington and the East Coast Greenway. Where the separation between the 2 highways is at its widest and highest point is a parking area, connected to a crosswalk and traffic light that help pedestrians safely enter and exit the park. Nearby the parking lot, park visitors can access the shelter with restrooms, maps for wayfinding within the park, and the pedestrian bridge. This may seem like a large investment. It would be. It's also an investment that would see a return. According to NCDOT, every dollar invested in shared use trails, like greenways, see a $1.72 annual return on investment from local sales tax revenue, business tax revenue, and benefits related to improved health and transportation. That's massive. It's also something we can put a number to. It doesn't count for the social impacts of further connection between communities on all sides of Eagles Island and what this connection could mean for the success of Eagles Island Nature Park. It also doesn't account for the environmental impacts of prioritizing less harmful forms of transportation. So let's go back to that imagination exercise. It's Saturday. You and your family pack a picnic basket and catch a bus to Eagles Island. After a leisurely ride down the park road, you get dropped off at the parking lot. You make sure to make a pit stop by the bathroom before wandering up the hill for lunch and kite flying. Once the sandwiches have been eaten, you all venture into the park along the engaging boardwalks to the nature pavilions and exploration station before catching the bus back home at the end of the day. This is the future that we imagine for Eagles Island, one that is connected to all of the communities that surround it, and one that acknowledges the land's past, present, and future. With the rapid growth of the towns and cities surrounding the island, it has become even more important to act now to establish it as a place worth valuing for its ecology and its history. By leveraging the dredge as a resource, creating engaging boardwalks, building an exploration station and pavilions, establishing a transportation plan, and constructing a pedestrian bridge, we believe that we can create a world-class park with uniquely local vibes. We appreciate your time and consideration. Thank you for listening to our presentation.